It's a sunny Saturday in Calgary Skyview, and the people who live here are soaking up the last of summer. George Chahal is attempting to do what only two Liberals have accomplished in 4 decades in Calgary, win a federal seat for the Liberal Party.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm George. I'm the local city councillor, and I'm running for the Liberal Party in Calgary Skyview. Yeah, it's been really exciting. We've been door knocking, out in parks and playgrounds, meeting constituents everywhere we have the opportunity to do so. And we've had a tremendous response, a very positive response on, I'm somewhat known in the community here as the local city councillor, but I've been born and raised in these Northeast Calgary communities, lived and worked here my whole life. And I'm just hearing so much from constituents, how the government's been there to support them through this difficult year, going through the pandemic, and that it's important that we really focus and plan for the future.
Chahal is well known, but so is his main competitor, the incumbent Conservative MP, Jeg Sahota.
I need your help. I need each person to vote for me. Can we do that?
Every door you hit, there's culture, there's different languages, there's different priorities, for example. But what unites us is our economy and jobs. Every door has the same issue. So there are many uniting factors as well. There's a lot of differences among us, but good differences, right? Language, I don't speak every language that my constituents speak, but just knowing my own language, they identify, they relate to me easier. And I talk about my culture, they talk about their culture. It brings us together. That's the uniqueness about my riding. And I love it because I'll see something painted on the front door, or when the door is open in the entry level. So then I'll say, hey, what is that? Then we start talking about how we have similar cultures. So that's something that connects us. A lot of immigrant families live here, and they bring their culture. That's what makes this riding rich.
What do constituents here think about the fact that we're going back to the polls 2 years after we did this?
They're not happy about it. They tell me, they're like, did he really call the election? I'll be like, yes, he did. And a lot of people do see it as a power grab.
So what we're hearing is a lot about what the future is going to be like, economic development, the job opportunities available for Calgarians. And they want to make sure that as they go to work and are being ability to find a good job here in our city in Northeast Calgary, that they also have strong support structure to get more women in the workforce, and that's why the $10 childcare program is so important for Skyview residents. We have a lot of working families and large households who need good childcare.
You have to either be a truly exceptional Liberal or an entirely ordinary Conservative in order to win a seat in Alberta. There have been truly exceptional Liberals. The types of Liberals who've managed to break through the Alberta anti-Liberal firewall are the kinds of Liberals who typically have come up through the Alberta Liberal Party provincially, and they're Liberals who have spent many, many, many years building local constituencies. They've built local bases. Kent Hare is probably the most well-known of these. You know, nobody glad hands like Kent Hare.
Hare isn't running this time around after winning the riding of Calgary Centre in 2015 and being unseated by the Conservatives in 2019. He thinks Chahal has what it takes for a Liberal return to Ottawa, and he's not the only one. Justin Trudeau made stops in Calgary in July, and then in mid-August he made one brief appearance in the city in Chahal's riding.
What a pleasure to be back in Calgary. What a pleasure to be here beside your extraordinary next MP, George Chahal. You all know George. He has been there for you every step of the way, fighting for you, standing up for you, making your community stronger and safer, being your voice at City Hall. And now you need him and you get him to be your voice in Ottawa.
Calgary Skyview is a unique riding in a number of ways. It has the highest concentration in this city of newcomers to Canada. It also has the highest concentration of families who live multi-generationally. And there are a lot of locally owned small businesses serving things from all around the world right here in Calgary Skyview.
Yeah, I'm Janet Brown. I'm a public opinion research consultant, and I specialize in Alberta politics. I'm originally from Ontario. High school, university out there. I moved to Alberta in 2000, and I know through my own research that once somebody's in Alberta for about 8 years, they're indistinguishable. Resistance is futile. 8 years, and you are an Albertan, and I've been here for 21. People outside of Alberta just don't get how really diverse this province is, and this riding is a perfect example of the diversity, both in terms of sort of, ethnicity and economic background and voting behavior. So this is one riding that's considered a swing riding here in Alberta. It's been both conservative and liberal over the years. And so, when you talk about Alberta, you think this is one of the ridings where, where we could get an upset. And the definition of an upset in Alberta is a Liberal.
The diversity of the riding is evident in everything from the many languages spoken here, to the sports and cultural events, to shopping and dining, even to real estate.
Calgary's one of the largest cities in North America area-wise, and we just continue to take up farmland and grow outwards rather than growing up.
In Northeast Calgary's, we have large family sizes, we have a fast-growing population, and it's community, it's family, and we live together and live close to each other. So the multi-generational family it's present here. The majority of the homes being built are built with secondary suites or homes for grandparents to be able to live in on the main floor and be a part of the family.
Families are in different situations. Families have different needs, different desires for what they want and what they're going to look for in a first home, what they're going to look for in terms of housing stability. And that's why we've created a very ambitious but multifaceted plan that responds in tangible ways to make sure that people have better options when it comes to housing.
Well, what we've really seen here in Northeast Calgary and in newer communities such as Skyview that we're in right now is that a lot of the builders and developers caught on to the multi-generational need and desire for these homes, where the builders are now offering homes with a separate side entrance to a basement suite, and the builders are obviously also offering to build out the basement suites as well, where it comes down to affordability. Affordability is huge, and if they can have either a suite they can rent out or have family members live in, that all helps out with the mortgage payment. You can get into a single-family home here with a multi-generational suite starting in the low 400s, right? And it goes up from there. Now, if you look at some of the newer communities up here in Northeast Calgary, Redstone, Cornerstone, Cityscape, and Skyview, and of the single-family detached homes that have sold in the last 30 days, ranging in about 2,000 square feet, are selling for in around $545,000.
Haver says while the real estate market slumped along with Alberta's overall economy, we are now seeing a rebound and new buyers.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've seen over the last few months is a huge influx of buyers looking at Calgary from Ontario, whether it's from an investment standpoint or they're moving here to live. And the common story with all of them is affordability. They come here, they see the houses and what we're charging for them and what they're transacting for, and it seems like housing is on sale for them. Obviously, Calgary is a great place to live. We have a lot of things to offer with the mountains just 45 minutes away, and more and more people are coming here to save money because it's more affordable.
It's not okay that the communities you grew up in aren't in places you can build a life, raise a family, or grow old. It's because the deck is stacked against you. So we have a plan to help fix that, so you can live in the communities you love.
The Liberals have promised the construction of 1.4 million homes over the next 4 years, but they aren't the only party focused on housing affordability. The federal Conservatives announced their own ambitious housing plan.
First, we will implement our plan to kickstart the building of 1 million homes in the next 3 years. It's time to face the facts. We have a housing crisis in Canada. The supply of homes, to own as well as to rent, is not keeping up with our growing population.
The diversity in this part of Calgary means the Member of Parliament must understand the complex immigration and refugee system as well.
In fact, when COVID happened originally and there was lockdown and the flights were shut down, I was working according to India time zone and Pakistan, Mexico, because my constituents were stuck in different countries. So I would work more during the night. I told my staff, I said, this is not a 9-to-5 job anymore. You got to stay here so we can connect with our constituents. We get immigration issues every day. I was just at an event before this interview where this individual was stuck in India because of COVID lockdowns, and his wife called me and she said, I need help. I had no idea who she was, so it's not personal in that sense, and yet it is, because I could understand what she was going through. She said, my kids are young, I need my husband back, he's been stuck there for 6 months. Can you write a letter? This came in the middle of the night, right? I said, yeah, my staff can get there to my office in half an hour, and I can get the letter faxed over to you, because he went to the airport thinking he could just take the flight. Otherwise, the airport was 8 hours away from where he lived. Right. He would have had to go back. So it's interesting in that sense. It's very personal in the sense that they need the help now, yet I don't have to know them, but these issues come every day.
But it's very similar to many other parts of Canada as well that have similar fast-growing communities with a lot of economic development, a lot of newcomers, and a lot of opportunity and talent we have here. And so whether you be in Surrey or Brampton or other parts of the GTA or in Montreal, Northeast Calgary is very similar in so many ways to other parts of Canada. And for me, I'm making sure that our counterparts across Canada understand who we are here in Calgary and in Northeast Calgary, and that we're going to play a strong role in a future government, and we're also going to be a strong voice for our community in Ottawa as well.
Other issues are not so unique.
The pipelines should be supported, first of all. Then equal payments, those things should be settled down. And as a broader scope, more immigration policies should be more easy.
Well, there are a lot of questions. What the top of the mind is the jobs and economy. A lot of the parents are complaining that the kids are sitting at home, unable to find jobs. Related to that issue is the mental health issue, because a lot of the kids, you remember when we came out of university, we were excited to work in our own fields and excited to get job interviews. Those are not coming.
A Conservative government is prepared to make the historic investments needed and to work with the provinces to build better, more connected mental health care systems for all Canadians.
I was outdoor knocking on a Friday, and mother agreed to vote for us. The kid comes running out, young child, I'd say around 18 to 20, and he goes, I'll vote for you if you are going to do something about mental health. And we have one of the major points is mental health, awareness to that, and promoting more money going to mental health treatment, and encouraging the employers to provide benefits to employees for mental health. So he said, if that's one of your points, I'm going to agree to vote for you. So this is how important it has become. We've been shoving it under the carpet for so long that this wasn't a health issue. It is. We're seeing it at the doors.
How do we create jobs, create growth, and get people back to work here?
Look, we've talked about how small businesses are the backbone of our economy. So rather than putting your money, for example, in Canada Savings Account or something else, put it towards a small business. Invest in that. That creates jobs. That's grassroots development. And if you employ one person, they are likely to go and shop somewhere else. They're gonna contribute to the economy.
Well, obviously, we are representing the voice of business in Calgary, and businesses generally have had a lot of challenges over the last 16 months. And what we're trying to understand is what they need from us to support them as they come through the COVID challenges, and also reflect to all levels of government what they need from government in order to come through the COVID challenges. So we're sort of trying to listen to what the businesses need. We're reflecting back to government as we have the opportunity to do so. And also speaking out in media channels so that people understand it's been challenging, but it's not over.
Also looking at the opportunities to continue to build on our local economy. And that would be the growing importance of the airport and the investment in airport trail, and the distribution and logistics trucking industries play an important role in Northeast Calgarians work in those industries, and also own and operate small businesses within those industries as well. Yeah, in Northeast Calgary, we have big businesses that are in and around the airport, but we have a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. And it's the entrepreneurship, those small businesses, that are driving Northeast Calgary. So you see the little shopping plazas and malls, new businesses opening and popping up all the time. And then they're growing very, very quickly. So we have to make sure that we have a good environment to still be able to open a business here, and the small business supports during the pandemic have really helped a lot of these businesses bring their employees back to work, but also an opportunity to grow and to be able to invest in their companies. And Northeast Calgary, it's a tremendous opportunity because of our location and all the opportunities with the growing population and the diversity we have here, that a lot of these businesses are having some great success. We need to look at everything in the opportunity when it comes to employment. We need to get those who are underemployed or not employed into the workforce, and that's to make sure that they have a job. And then, but to the folks who are, that we have opportunities to be able to move upwards in their careers. We all have to focus on providing the opportunities and reskilling our workers with the changing economy. And the government, the Liberal Party, has been a strong supporter of supporting Albertans looking to work within the energy sector, but also looking at all things energy, where there's opportunities in that energy transition to help those workers who are very highly skilled to get into other opportunities in the workforce. So that could be in the energy sector, but also in the technology sector. So there's a tremendous opportunity there, but we also have to fill those jobs that are being unfilled. So we have a lot of new Canadians living here in Northeast Calgary. Many of them are highly skilled, but there's barriers to credential recognition, where we have an engineer or a doctor who's maybe driving taxi cab. So we have to find ways to make sure that those folks are able to get their credentials recognized easily, so they can also contribute in the work that they want to do and what they're passionate about. We've seen during COVID that we've seen lots of nurses trained from all over the world that are underemployed here. And there's a tremendous opportunity to support those nurses and doctors to be able to work hard and do the work they love to do, help people and save lives.
This as the fourth wave of COVID-19 led by the Delta variant makes its way through Alberta. Numbers in the province are the highest levels since May after Jason Kenney's provincial UCP lifted virtually all health restrictions. School boards, businesses and municipalities had been forced to make their own public health rules until September 3rd, when the UCP government implemented limited restrictions.
Well, we've seen Jason Kenney being a federal member of the Federal Conservative Party, having strong roots in the party, and supporting and working closely with Erin O'Toole. And so it is the same party, it's the same people, and we've seen the response or lack of response in supporting Albertans during the pandemic. A lot more should have been done, could have been done. Northeast Calgary, it's one of the highest levels of vaccination, so I'm proud of the work Northeast Calgarians have done. We've shown if we break down the barriers and we communicate in their languages, in their places of worship, in their ethnocultural communities, that folks want to get vaccinated. But it's the barriers that prevent them. Many of our residents work 2 jobs and have large families and are juggling many different schedules. So as we broke down those barriers and were able to get to the Gurdwara or the mosque or into our local hockey rinks and providing vaccinations, Northeast Calgarians walked in and got vaccinated.
People's minds have shifted to federal politics, and they're more important issues that they want us to deal with. And so politics provincial isn't coming up that much at the doors.
Premier Kenney has navigated this COVID-19 pandemic far better than the federal government has. And when it comes to getting our country back on track, the federal Conservatives can learn a lot from our UCP cousins.
Is it at all frustrating when there are ads that say, if you vote for Erin O'Toole, you're just doubling down on a Jason Kenney government?
You know what? I had a constituent the other day. He said to me, I don't like the negative edits. He said, I don't like that. All the negativity we've seen through, these ads, he said, it's not a good time to do that. He said, talk about positives. That's the advice he gave me.
Now, there is an NDP candidate in this riding as well, Gurinder Singh Gill. We were unable to secure an interview through his campaign team.
CPAC reached out close to half a dozen times, but our calls and emails were not returned. two progressive candidates could cause concern over a vote split on the left, but this riding has only ever gone between a Conservative MP or a Liberal.
Both of the candidates for the major parties here have deep roots in this community. They will have lots and lots of connections. They'll know how to get a crowd out. They'll know how to work this riding.
And when a Liberal wins in any of these ridings, these are not landslide wins, right? These are very, very close races.
Always very, very close. And so, hard to predict. We get a lot of national polling. We know how the parties are doing on a national level, but we don't always get a good sense of what's happening regionally or certainly at the riding level. And what we're seeing right now in the polls is there's a great deal of consistency among the major pollsters and what they're saying is happening at a national level. But there's huge inconsistencies regionally and demographically and that sort of thing. So hard to know exactly where the wind's blowing in this riding right now.
And does Chahal have what it takes to make the leap from City Hall to the House of Commons?
The types of politicians who could use municipal politics as a lever to get into federal politics would be like Don Iveson or Mayor Naheed Nenshi. These are people who are very, very, very well known locally, broadly. Again, goes back to my original statement. You either have to be an exceptional Liberal or a very ordinary Conservative. I don't know if Chahal is quite over that line. I just don't think he is.
So, where do constituents stand?
I am pro-Alberta. Whoever is in federal, if they support Albertans, I am with them. So, especially like we are like oil country, so the pipelines should be supported.
When it comes to this riding especially, I'm a little sad that George Chahal is leaving municipal politics, as I believe he was a great supporter at the city level, but I'd certainly see how there could be potential value in having Liberal representation in Alberta, especially through him. So I could certainly see that the value in that. But as for me voting specifically for the Liberals, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. There's so much discontent with the federal Liberal Party here, and even with the PC Conservative Party at the provincial level. It just seems like as much as they might split the vote here, and it's going to be really close between them from a federal level, I've been a supporter of the NDP. In the last two elections, ever since I think the Jack Layton days in the early 2000s, I've been a huge supporter of the NDP's overall platform and their values that align with my own. So from a voting standpoint here this time around, I think I'll continue to align my voting decision with the party that best aligns with my values. And it seems like that still continues with the NDP.
I usually don't expect them to keep all the promises, no matter who you vote for. I prefer Liberal, to be honest, but I don't see anything changing if a Conservative goes into power as well.
Have you chosen a candidate yet? Jag Sahota, George Chahal, Gurinder Singh Gill?
I basically go with Conservatives because they are pro-Alberta. As I said, I'm pro-Alberta. Whoever is pro-Alberta, I'm with them.
Well, they steal all the taxpayers' money, so there you go. Like what happened with WE? I want an investigation on the WE scandal. I want to see what happened. How did $920 million go to a charity? It can't be. It's not right. So I won't vote.
They won't get his vote, but as the election draws nearer, Chahal and Sahota say they'll be hitting the pavement and knocking on doors every day.
My priority is door knocking. And like I said, nobody forgets that. People might see the Facebook and they might remember your name, but it's more of those interactions. And people value that, and I value that. Can you imagine when somebody tells you, you were here last time, I'm voting for you again because you're here at my doors again?
Since the election's been called, I withdrew my paperwork as a city councillor. I'm committed in running for the Liberal Party here in Calgary Skyview and working hard on behalf of Northeast Calgary residents to make sure that happens, and we have a strong voice in Ottawa, and that's what I'm working towards, and that's what I'm going to do, make sure that Northeast Calgary is well represented in government in Ottawa.
It is a time for leadership, it's a time for strength, and that's exactly what Albertans deserve and are going to get with George in Ottawa representing you. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Thank you all, Skyview.
No, I think in a riding like this, I think voters are going to be looking at the national scene. They're going to be trying to get a sense of whether they think the Liberals are going to win this election, the Conservatives are going to win this election. And I think voters here will really focus on that idea of, do we want to have an MP who's part of the government or outside of the government? And this is one riding where people will think that way. It's not a common way to approach elections in Alberta normally.
For CPAC, I'm Alyssa Carpenter in Calgary.